Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube. And it's time to talk about Andor, the finale, also known as Rick's Road. I'm here with cousin Cheeto and the Slag. How you guys doing?
All good,
I'm
you?
just I'm just
Yeah.
glad the slag decided to finally roll up into this review here.
Yes, well, the slag was busy talking about Andor.
Sorry, I'm having a little problem. You,
Oh,
damn.
see a doctor then. He'll give you a pill for it.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you not hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I'm getting an echo. I just
Oh,
heard you mention me need to see a doctor just now, so I'm just wondering where the hell is this echo coming from?
can't be
I
from
don't
me
hear
because
it
it
on
went to,
my end.
nor on my end.
Okay, I think we're good now. All right.
Zam's
Right.
got like it's probably one of his porn tabs he left open and because now we go live on Pornhub as well. So
All right, I
We
do
should go live
apologize.
on Pornhub. That would be hilarious.
And 4chan. All
Yeah.
right.
Three neckbeards
Okay.
fuck a series. That's what we'll call it.
So we got our predictable standoff at the end of this particular episode, but it was done very well. I mean, predictable is one thing. How they pulled it off was absolutely fantastic. A glorious finale in my opinion, and it's one of those finales where you know that you can't just have sunshine and roses. Things
Mhm.
don't necessarily pan out that way in this particular universe at this particular time period. But yeah, some things were wrapped up. Some things we know still have to continue. No K2SO, but I do have a theory regarding that, which I want to bring up a little bit later. But before we start talking about certain elements of this episode, Cheetah, how did you find it?
I found it okay. Not as glorious as I was hoping, but nowhere near as bad as some of the other finales have been. I hate this whole thing that they're doing with, and I've said this week in and week out. I hate what they're doing with Cyril. I mean, they've shit the bed, in my opinion, on Cyril this season. I get slow burn, I get character building, but it's just like how much fucking they're driving a tank with it. Like it takes forever. Um, so I was kind of upset by that, and I mean Cyril really didn't do much besides rescue. Uh, what's her name again? Starts with a
Daedra,
D.
Daedra,
Dedra.
Daedra.
I always have to
Mhm.
try to remember their names. But yeah, Dedra. This I mean, all he did was save her, and now it's like, oh, will they? Won't they? Like it's like, oh, for fuck's sake! Like he should have been on the ISB episodes and episodes ago. We didn't see enough Mothma in this episode, in my opinion. I know we saw a little bit of it, but there was no. And I know we're getting a season 2, but can we please get some kind of closure with the Mon Mothma stuff? I really feel like they shit the bed on Mon Mothma for some of this season. It, and as I said, I didn't need everything wrapped up in a nice tidy bow, but they really kind of left a lot of things where it's just like, well, and since we're getting to season 2, it's okay for us to leave this stuff just way out there. And it's like, I thought that the way that they did the rebellion speech and everything was really good. I like the way that they inspired people to rebel against the Empire on Ferrix. So yeah, I mean, those are kind of like my highs and low points. Everything else was still good. As I said, I'm not trying to shit on this episode. It wasn't a bad episode at all, but I nitpick it because it's had such high highs that I kind of nitpick it now. So, all right, Ginger, rip my ideas to shred, please.
No, no, I will not. I will agree. Um, it was a good finale, but it was a bit underwhelming if I'm being honest. I don't know. I expected something a bit more from it rather than a lot of people just sitting around staring at things or running into smoke and doing not much. Like the rights and the speeches and all that were beautiful,
Hmm.
and some of the action and all of that was fucking beautifully shot and that. But I did want a bit more from Cyril and from Mon Mothma. Like the kind of thing where she, we'll talk about it later. But the thing that she does in this episode, it was a bit of a cop out for me. It was just like that's a kind of way to kind of throw the Empire off, and I think she should have been left on a cliffhanger, like they're coming for her kind of thing. And Cyril, I just feel was just wasted away. After I thought something amazing was going to come of him in the last episode, but we didn't get that. Andor was beautifully done. I thought it was very clever, him in the shadows, and then again using logic to prioritize saving Bix during all the chaos, rather than sit there and watch his mother's projection and speech and all of that. It's like he knew what his priorities were. I think that's solid storytelling. That's logical storytelling there. You use the situation rightly. And so the Andor stuff was great. The blonde bird, again, she's also, I forget her name, Mon Mothma's sister.
Vel.
Cousin.
Vel.
She's like, she started off great and is now she's just coming across as a bit like fucking thick, needy, and like she doesn't know. She's the one I feel like is the one that's going to end up dying because she keeps getting her priorities wrong. But although it's frustrating to see that, I still think if it pays off in her dying because of her stupidity, then that's a fantastically done character, because it's like, there you go, you're too stupid to get your priorities right and now you're dead. But if it pays off that she does something amazing, then it's like, okay, it needs to be a really good turn of character in the second season. But like I say, Andor stuff was great. Everyone else's stuff was a bit disappointing. Even Deirdre.
I even have to say, I hate to say it, but I actually enjoyed the Book of Boba Fett season finale more than I enjoyed this one. Like,
I like the action in that finale.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
Rancor and all that.
The action was great.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, and I kind of agree with Ginger on that fact that, like, like I wasn't expecting Darth Vader or Emperor Palpatine to show. Like, I knew that's not happening. I didn't want that to happen. If that happened, that would have been too much. But like, I wanted to see more sparks of the rebellion, not just a riot. You know what I mean? We didn't get to see any. We didn't get to see any of what was happening, and I know we didn't get built up for it, but we had always been talking about this. What's the name of the rebel? The rebel that they were trying to track down and lead into a trap.
Krieger,
yeah. Like, I was hoping there would be something with Krieger or something, or something like that. But it's just like, like Luthen was just kind of there, and then finally him and Andor meet. And I'm not saying that they needed to shoot it out, but I'm just like, I like the way that conversation went, but it's like, I feel like that should have happened earlier in the episode. And then Luthen and Cassian should have teamed up to save Bix, as well as incite rebellion on Ferrix. You know what I mean? Like, Luthen kind of could have turned it to his own advantage, as well as Andor getting out Bix and all that. Like, it was like everybody just kind of showing up and looking.
Yeah, they've just showed up and looked around, and the Krieger thing, that should have been like the big thing that they could have shown, the slaughter of that as well, because it could have been like the big action piece.
Well, and Zam did theorize that might be something that was on the cutting room floor. We might have gotten little snippets of the Krieger stuff, before, and then there would have been a little bit of a payoff there in the final episode. But I mean, granted, as I said, Mothma, in my opinion, didn't get enough time in this episode and in previous episodes, in my opinion. Cyril was a waste. So it's like, I kind of didn't want more. And I agree with them cutting something, but honestly, cut the fuck out of Cyril. Like, what the hell was he doing?
Yeah.
So
I agree. Also, that we have the situation where we don't know what's happening with the sister. Because we had that in the first episode.
I totally forgot
and
about it.
And it's just like, I only remembered it because on Twitter, I just saw a picture of the first scene of Andor at that bar, and I was like, hey, what the fuck happened to his pursuit of his sister? That kind of got forgotten about completely.
Prison changes people.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Just going to comments here. Daniel Vance says, I like the theory going around that Luthen is a Jedi Master. Short stories from 2014 Insider magazine, and that Kayla is his Padawan, and Vel was a Jedi relic collector. Uvel, sorry. Okay.
Sure. I mean, I don't,
A bit
I
too
don't
close
mind
to home, though. He would probably want to go with different guys than play a Jedi collector. If if he's undercover, if you know what I mean, and he's on Coruscant, everyone will fucking know who he is.
Well, but he's
Yeah.
also, but he's not collecting Jedi relics now. He's collecting just relics of like the the Old Republic and everything
He's
like
got
that.
he's got Jedi relics in his shop as they're
Yeah.
Easter eggs for us, but they are actually Jedi relics. He even had the Shankar fucking stones from goddamn Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, for fuck's sake, in one episode. But I personally hope that he's not a Jedi, because
me too.
Me too.
I don't honestly just don't let that happen.
Yeah, no Jedi. I don't want. You know me. I don't want any Jedi touch in this series. I mean, I don't mind him being a former Jedi or something like that, but he doesn't use the Force. But they're eventually going to use the Force and blah. So that's why I'm like, no, don't even
Well,
do it.
we had a reference to Palpatine, and that's a Sith, so that's about as close as it gets. Cyril is too Carl McLaughlin is too Carl McLaughlin between peaks for me, but I don't blame him for worshipping Dedra. Okay.
I don't
Fair
blame
enough.
him either, but he should have been they should have been a tag team well before ever, like well before this, like episode 4, well, episode like 5 or 6, maybe, like when they first met, when she first pulled him in, she should have taken him in as like a consultant or something like that, like he should have been a part of this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also all the people watching us right now, give us a like. Hello Jim, how you doing? Bossman says, hey guys, excellent series. Yes, yeah, it was. Regardless of how we felt about this particular thing, I haven't given my opinion yet, but yeah, it was an excellent series. Daniel Vaughn says Krieger and Guerrero's names are both variants on the German word for soldier. Okay, fair enough. I thought Diego Luna was phenomenal in this series. Yeah, without a doubt,
hands down. He
hasn't put a foot wrong the whole fucking time.
And here's the thing: any issues that I've had with this series tend to be with either pacing or writing. You know what I mean? Like, and as I said, I've given this show almost all positive reviews. I think the lowest I've given it was like a 7. And like, think about it: out of an entire 12 episode run, you get 1 7. Like
7 is still a good route. It's still pretty
good. And 7
good.
is still good. So it's like I'm not sitting here shitting on it. And I'll give my thoughts on this the finale, or my rating on the finale later. But no, this series is exactly what I wanted from Star Wars. The broader scope of it. This is exactly what I wanted from this series in the Star Wars universe. Just the nitty gritty, dirty, spark of the rebellion. And although it didn't happen as much as I wanted to, I still got everything I wanted. So anyway, go ahead.
Okay, and finally, Andor as a character, he's not bad, but morally great. He's always a lot of rebels like that. I want to talk about just a few characters here. Some of the sort of side characters who we got to see a lot more in this finale. First of all, there was that young man who was making the bomb. Now, did you guys realize he was making a bomb?
Yeah,
instantly. Yeah. And is he the son of the shopkeeper who got tortured?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because the other character, Brasso, who's the big guy, so to speak, who basically looks after the B android, the B droid. When they were escaping near the end of the episode, I thought he was a family man, and I'm thinking to myself, where's his fucking wife and kids and shit? Was the black lady his wife? And then was that boy who made the bomb his son? That's what I was wondering, what the fuck, because he seemed like he had a family and all of that, and all of a sudden he doesn't have a family anymore. He's just escaping the fucking planet, and some of those sort of things left me a little bit confused as well. So
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if he had a family or not.
I honestly don't remember either.
All I know is that's how I want to go as a human being. Turn me into a brick and beat the fuck out of fascists.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because
challenge accepted.
After that superb speech by Marva, by the way, who basically told people to, sorry, I kind of wrote something down for this. She mentioned, she mentioned that how like like everyone in this community, we all live together, we all work for each other. we kept the trade routes going, and then the Empire came along, and they slowly started to infect our world, and we were asleep, and now it's time to wake up and fight. And then Brasso gets that fucking brick of like the dead brick of Marva, and starts wailing on people with it, and I just fucking loved it so fucking much as
Brilliant.
well. It was absolutely
because they know,
absolutely
because they
brilliant.
would love, and I think we even mentioned it in weeks prior. We're like, look, or after she died, we said, look, what it would be just beautiful if, like, like in the final episode when they have her brick, like it's just they like shoot it at a Imperial soldier or something like that, and just blasts them, like.
Yeah.
And other scenes as well, like because when Andor was reciting the past, he saw his father's brick because that he was there by its side, and he remembered
Yeah.
his dad like back cleaning up all these circuit boards and stuff like that and selling them on. So like in a way, like all those bricks are like graveyards in a way, like gravestones for everyone in there. But you did see like the beginning of the rebellion. Well, not, it's funny in the way I feel like I said the beginning of the rebellion in so many different shows I fucking watched of Star Wars over the years, but it felt like this was another element of it. And we also got what was the name of the young lad who got crushed by the money? Do you remember that? In the
I
heist
forget his
episode,
name.
but he listened.
Ludwig or something like that.
Yeah,
Well,
we got his
manifesto.
stuff. Yeah, his
Yeah,
manifesto.
we're listening to his manifesto, and he brought up on the fact that insurrections and stuff like that are the sparks to rebellion and all of that, and this was one of those sparks as well, and it was really good. The actual riot we got, and when that kid threw the bomb and how it landed against other bombs and just started a chain reaction of explosions, and the snitch, the loan shark, how he got a glass explosion full of glass in the face and got taken out. Absolutely
Yeah.
beautiful. There was some good moments in this, and seeing him rescue Bix as well, and her all fucked up and everything, and she not even realizing if he's real or not, was also pretty good. And knocking over fucking B as well, that just kicked off Brasso, and he got really pissed off about that. Now I did tell you that I had a theory regarding B. I think B is going to be K2SO next season. I feel eventually at some point when B's sort of unit is going to be put into K2SO, it will transform B a little bit. It won't make him the same sort of droid he was before. He'll be a bit more cocky and maybe a bit more arrogant and a bit more confident in a way. But I think
I very much doubt that's going to happen.
Yeah, why do that when they can have K2SO and B be together like the new R2D2 and C3PO, and then they can sell more toys?
Well, they put what's her face, like Lando's, fuck droid. They put that, into the Millennium Falcon, didn't they?
Hey,
yeah,
that's a love making droid. Okay, let's not. Lando makes love to the universe.
I don't expect him to go down this route with Andor. I think that's too. I don't know. Just doesn't feel right.
It kind of explains. It kind of explains, like the loyalty that droid. Okay, but the K2, so regardless of how much of a wanker he was to everyone else, he was super loyal to Andor, and that could probably explain that, because so's.
But
B.
why? But why? But why would they change his name then? Why wouldn't he just call him B or whatever his name is?
Yeah.
Like when they put him in K2SO's body, like why wouldn't they just call him B at that point?
Why doesn't Tony Stark call Vision Jarvis? Because he's not. He's something else now.
Okay,
all right.
That's a good comeback. Okay, good,
yeah,
fair point. Still stupid.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's read some of the comments here. Other than fly planets, Star Wars usually sets upon the world aren't clean; they are decaying and dirty.
What are fly planets?
I don't know. I love that Marva's words were the railing cry to battle, and that her brick was the first weapon used. Yeah, I love that too. Marva's story was so short but so moving. She's a phenomenal. I forgot the name of the actress. Escapes me, but she's a great actress. I've seen her in so many things. Three Men and a Little Lady comes to mind for some reason.
Oh yeah, she was great in that.
Stellan and Janet M-Test stuff is good as well. It's like Godfather in space. And I think Nemec's books will be used to program Kate.
what is her name? Fiona Shaw. That's it.
Yeah,
Fiona
I did
Shaw.
like I did like the way, like, I really thought Deirdre was gonna die in this episode, because when she got caught up in the riots and all of that, and I genuinely thought that at some point, you know, that they were just gonna rip her to shreds, but then I realized it's Disney, and then
Well,
she
yeah, but
obviously gets.
I mean, yeah, we say it's Disney, but with this series, you can't put it past anything. That's what they've shown time and time again. And I said in the comments, well, my Facebook post, I said that the Gilroys must have some kind of pull because they've got away with a lot more than anyone else. Because Deborah Chow literally had Kenobi stolen from her. But sorry, go on.
No, go finish what you were going to say. I mean, I have an idea on that, but
yeah. So yeah, like I said, they stole Kenobi from Deborah Chow, but the Gilroys have been able to just make something that is just unlike anything else, and it just, you know, given this is under Kennedy's umbrella, not Filoni or Favreau's, I'm fucking shocked. I am shocked. So that's why I wouldn't have put it past her. I literally thought she was just going to get murdered and trampled to death there, or stomped to death. But her coming out of it alive is kind of good, because we'll see what happens to her in the next series, because of kind of failure on her part, because this whole thing went a bit tits up. They didn't catch Andor. They lost a load of troopers, and so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. They're definitely going to, like, that other guy. Sorry, the black guy who was a kind of antagonist in the ISB, how he uses it against her, and all this kind of stuff. So it's very interesting what happens. So go on.
Sorry. So talking of him, earlier on in this episode, we saw, and this was for me, Mon Mothma playing the game. Her husband comes into the car, and she basically tells the driver, "I want to be talking in private." Obviously, the driver's not going to do that, but she knows that he's not going to do that because he's a spy, and she knows that. And then she basically accuses her husband of gambling. Now, he actually denies all of this, but I feel that she's saying all of this to cover up for the fact that they're going to be spending a shitload of money, and it's absolutely brilliant. And then obviously that black dude, as you mentioned earlier, in the ISB, he relays with the driver about this, and he, as far as he's concerned, it'll be something they have over the husband if he's spending too much money because he's got a gambling addict. And a nice shout out to Canto Bite as well. I know we all hate The Last Jedi, but it's a nice shout out to that. Yes. Yeah,
I like the casino planet. Like, I get it why it was just a huge side quest. I get it.
It was bollocks, but it looked nice. You know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
it was nice. Like, if it was in its own thing or in a video game, it would have been so much nicer. And I get it why it shouldn't have been in The Last Jedi.
Sorry for tangenting here, but is the whole fucking planet a casino? The whole planet?
Probably
no. It's just probably just known as a casino planet because everyone goes there to gamble. You know. This was my. I get why they did it, but I didn't like the Mon Mothma thing. This one, I felt they should have put her on a cliffhanger where they invite her in to talk about her finances, kind of thing, and then maybe you have like the whole gangster thing. You know, all the gambling and the gangster stuff pop up in the second series. But you know, they actually went ahead with marrying off her daughter, so I thought that was really good, because that's like
that was really good.
That's desperation and a low point as well. So I like that they followed through with that, and they didn't cop out, give some pathetic dramatic speech or whatever. I'm my own woman and all this kind of stuff. So it was like, well, this silly little girl's embracing this kind of stuff, so fuck it if I can get away with it. As much as I hate it. So it was really good.
I forgot the name of the guy who she married her daughter off to his son. I forgot his name, but he's like a bit of a gangster, isn't he?
He's a gangster, yeah.
Yeah.
So
they were going to hide finances to him. The thing was
money laundering.
Money laundering pretty much with him, you know. So I don't even remember what I was going to say earlier, Ginger. What were we talking about
Suck
earlier?
my dick.
Yeah. Well, later.
Well,
Dave.
the ISB and all of that, and
I mean, oh, it was a theory. I think we're gonna see the Emperor in season 2. Like, I think season 2, episode 1. I think Deidre is going to be in front of the Emperor talking, and I think they're gonna. That's where we're gonna get our cameo because I think this fuck up is going to be a pretty big fuck up, and that's going to.
Deirdre though. You think it's gonna be Deirdre? She's too small,
I
man.
think so because I think everybody above her is going to pass the buck down to her, and it's gonna
Yeah.
the buck is gonna stop there. And I think we're gonna at least sometime in that first episode, we're going to see our Palpatine cameo where it's Palpatine, like, and she's before the Emperor, and having to explain herself. And I mean, either one of two things will happen. I don't think she's gonna die, but either that or it'll be like she'll be like you fuck, this is your responsibility, you fuck up again and you're dead. And I think maybe by the end of the second season she'll probably fuck up again and the Palpatine will kill her, you know what I mean, like, because they want to
Well,
show the savagery of Palpatine, and if they don't,
she,
it's a missed opportunity, from in my opinion.
I like your
Yeah.
theory, but she's a lot more wittier, and she's able to explain herself a lot better than a lot of the other members of the ISB, because she'll simply say that she never wanted anybody from the Krieger heist to be killed because she wanted to question somebody, pump them for information. Obviously, Palpatine wanted them dead to send them a message, because that was mentioned in the episode, but she
Yeah.
didn't. And obviously, she was trying to do the same thing with Andor, but unfortunately, like, everyone rebelled.
I think honestly, I think the thing with Palpatine is that Palpatine wants results. He doesn't want the why, the where, the when, and he doesn't care. You are a person is a dime a dozen. He will replace you in an instant. He will kill you. Now, you're probably right about the Krieger thing, and he may like give her one more chance because, like, maybe, I don't know, something, but if they do not, like, that would be your perfect opportunity to have a make sense cameo by Emperor Palpatine in season 2. You could even have freaking Darth Vader standing there. He doesn't have to say anything. He could just be standing there right next to Palpatine with his little respirator going. You could have somebody just stand in.
Would you want that though? Having
No,
all
not
these,
really. No, I
yeah.
I do want Palpatine though. I think Palpatine makes sense. I don't want him doing Jedi shit, but like Emperor Palpatine showing up at this point makes sense because now the rebellion's kind of a thing. I mean, it's kind of a thing. It's not obviously like a big thing like I was hoping it would be this season, but I think that the Emperor would realize that there's something more going on here, and somebody has to pay for it.
In season 2, I want there to obviously be a time jump and get a lot closer to Rogue One, but at the same time, I want to see, if I'm going to see Palpatine, I want him to see him dismantling the Senate and just like fully becoming full-on ruler Empire, because
No,
that's what happens.
I don't. I mean,
That's what
I
happens
don't
at the
really want
beginning
him.
of New Hope.
I mean, I guess you could do that because I guess that you could give him like a story arc towards the end of season 2 where he starts.
No, we don't. No,
Senate.
sorry for interfering, but I don't necessarily mean we need to see that, but we need to know about that. That's actually
Oh,
happening.
you mean like with Mon Mothma, like in her storyline?
And to a degree, but just little tidbits here and there, like the Senate is ending, and maybe like Mon Mothma only finds that she's like supposed to do a Senate meeting, and she realizes there's no Senate to do a meeting in, but it's all fucking coming to an end, and he's going full on authoritarian, and all of that, yeah, something along those lines to a degree, like almost seeing it from a third person perspective of of the Senate being dismantled, not necessarily from Palpatine's point of view, but from other people's point of view who are part of the Senate, and then it's all disappearing.
Yeah, I mean, look, in terms of storytelling, it makes sense because now that there's snifter of, it could even happen halfway through where the snifter of the rebellion is getting stronger and stronger, and that's when they just like go full authoritarian and just shut everything down and take over everything to tighten their grip on power. And of course, knowing Luthen, he'll use that against them to kind of strengthen the rebellion and all this kind of stuff. So it does make sense that it should happen.
Exactly, but it is the like the beginning of the rebels that kind of makes them go down that route, because before everything was hunky dory. They all, as Andor was saying, they're all getting fat and they're just living the life of Riley. And then until people started pushing back, that's when the emperor decided to to really put his thumb down. Just gonna read some comments here, fellas. I love that Marvel's words were. Oh, sorry, I think I've already read that.
Yeah.
Stellan
Yeah, you
Did I
already
read
read
this
that
one?
too.
Yeah, sorry, I apologize. I think I read that one too. Well, Andor will kill. He's kind of like how I hope the Solo movie would be. Yeah, he's very much like that. In similar vein to Solo, that he will shoot first, and doesn't care.
Yeah, but I think he wanted to join Luthen. That's why it's like I don't think he killed him. But honestly, like I wouldn't be surprised if like that gun was rigged. Maybe I don't. Well, no, that was his gun, wasn't it, or was that Andor's gun?
No, I didn't know it was his gun, but I genuinely thought he was willing to end it all because he's being chased. He's sick and tired. He either and he hears his mother's rallying cry, and he's inspired by it. He's seen so much injustice. This is why he became part of the rebel cause. Initially, it was all for him and his hustle, and maybe to find his sister. But then things change. Being in that prison and everyone being killed. I mean, no one in that prison came across as an actual criminal, did they? They all came across as
No.
people who just
Or they're
who
just people with minor infractions. Like
yeah, exactly, like maybe
Yeah.
speeding or something, and next thing you know you're in fucking jail.
yeah, I don't think
So
any of them were like. Actually, that was one of my complaints about the prison is that yes, I get it. There's injustice, but like everybody did seem too nice. Like I wish there would have been like maybe like Andy Serkis's character was an actual murderer. You know what I mean? Like, but he kind of changed his ways in prison, but he actually did murder somebody to get there. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been good to have a character that was an actual criminal, but kind of turn their life around and then
well, that's
dies
no, but
at the
no, but
end.
that's why they picked those people. Like they were selective in who they threw in that prison. They don't want actual criminals in there. They want people for minor infractions, and they throw them in there and they work
People who
them
are
to death.
afraid to rise up. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will Andor? Sorry. Um, he's not an evil character. He's just into self-preservation. Yeah. We get all that, dude.
No, yeah, wait,
Uh,
that's a given.
Mom of my daughter feels like she's being set up to be the antithesis of Princess Leia. Yeah, I think Clea is also
Oh,
like
that's a
that
good
too.
one, Vance. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's if she loses her daughter, by the way, which some people are speculating. I hate agreeing with Cheetah, but I agree no Jedi on this series. Well, there isn't.
Yeah,
Theoretically, there isn't. You know what I mean? So, unless we go to Tatooine or Dagobah, for me, this is how they should do a Throne series. A Throne series?
Game of Thrones.
Like,
Oh,
yeah,
Thrawn.
Thrawn.
okay.
He means Thrawn.
Thrawn. Deirdre may be cool and collected in her safe empire, but she's just experienced the repercussions of its actions, and found herself shaking. Yeah, I like that, by the way. When she was, the acting was fantastic. After Cyril saved her, the
Yeah,
way
yeah.
she was trembling with fear was superb. I want the Seven Sisters or something to do with the rebellion.
I don't.
Oh, I still want more of the gangster element, which we don't get. Like the something Sons and all of these fucking groups, the Dark Suns and all of that, and
Red
Crimson
Sun.
Sun.
Oh, Crimson
yeah,
Sun.
yeah, the
Red Sun
Crimson
is
Sun
Superboy's trigger word.
Yeah, yeah.
and
Crimson
all of
Sun
that.
is Maul's lot.
Because he's
Yeah,
red.
and
Yeah.
Yu Zhong Vong and all those fuckers, and yeah, I mean,
I don't know, but
anyway.
here's the thing. I don't want because if you get the Seven Sisters involved, then I think you get Vader involved, and I don't want that. And as I said, I don't mind if Vader shows up or Palpatine shows up, but give it a purpose, not just like a one-off cameo. Like Vader in Obi-Wan Kenobi was actually done like as a character was done pretty well. Now some of the decisions they made with him was pretty stupid, but
Yeah.
him, yeah, but a lot of the things that they did with him I thought were pretty cool.
Like the ruthlessness of him was fantastic in Kenobi.
Yeah, and
And
that's
I think
exactly
that's
what I
more
mean.
those were elements of what Chow really wanted to come to bring to the show, but it kept getting offset with a bunch of other stupid crap and illogical stupid shit, like with the fire scene that derailed everything about that brilliant Vader scene. But yeah,
It's hard to believe that this is all in the same universe as Boba Fett and all this sort of shit. Like, yeah, they feel so different to each other. I mean,
but it's a
it's
whole
weird.
universe. Like that's what I love about Star Wars is that you can have a show about fighter pilots. I want my Poe Dameron, like maybe not Poe Dameron, but like Poe Dameron style show where we follow a squadron of pilots in the rebellion, in the whatever, And we get a show based on that, like them flying through, like, hey, we're gonna, the Imperials have left this base kind of, this base kind of unguarded. We're gonna go in and we're gonna take it out. Dogfight stuff, hit and run tactics, stuff like that. Like keeping the rebellion showing the rebellion on the back foot, but still hitting blows against the Empire. That's what the rebellion was funded on. That's what all that stuff is.
Well, Rogue Squadron was supposed to be a movie, which is so weird in a way, because if anything needed to be a series, it should have been.
It does
Rogue
need to be a
Squad.
series.
You can't make that into a movie. There's so much you can get out of that as a series. I was so surprised they went down the movie route.
And the Rogue Squadron one we're getting is the aftermath of the Empire falling, which is like, who cares?
Why? Yeah, like we get that in Mandalorian. Like we get enough of that in the Mandalorian for me to be happy. We hear little tidbits here and there in Mandalorian. I'm like, oh, that's cool to know what's going on. In Coruscant after the fall of the Empire, fall of Palpatine. Like that's all cool and dandy, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's got to be during like certain battles and stuff like that they had with the Empire. Like we saw that really good fan film the other day with all those X-wings fighting TIE fighters and
other
shit.
Day that was like 3 months
that was a couple of months ago.
On Coruscant, something like that. I mean, mixing the old with the new and all of that. That's what we need with Rogue Squadron as well. And maybe you could bring back a character from a previous show. I would at one point, once upon a time, I would have said Gina Carano, but not anymore. But but something along those lines, or maybe those X-wing cops, who were in the Mandalorian, who had small roles.
Those guys remind me of the two red coats.
They're the ones that are getting the series. They're the ones that are getting their own series, which I have no fucking interest.
They remind me of those red coats from Pirates of the Caribbean that was in the first and the third one. The guys that Jack Sparrow argues with and outsmarts. That's who they remind me of. Like no. I want a real piloting show. Like I want a real show based around pilots that follows pilots where they're jumping from system to system. They're doing, tactical maneuvers. I want Wing Commander in Star Wars universe is what I want. God damn it, give it to me. In my veins.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I want to see some more space battles as well, because like things like Star Wars Visions was all fucking Jedi and stuff like that, and that really pissed me off when it should have mix it up a little bit with the sort of animation. So yeah, I want some other elements of Star Wars, which is not just about fucking Jedis and stuff like that. I want some piloting shit as well, for sure. I think the reason why they don't do it because it's so fucking complicated and hard.
I don't think it's hard. I think they just don't want to pay the budget. But then you got shows like the Orville that, well, it's not every episode. They don't use a huge CGI budget every episode, but still, like. There's ways to do it. I mean, I can't imagine that Disney does not have the money to do something like that.
How do you? I mean, I'm no writer of film or anything like that, but I can't even physically, in my mind, fathom how you construct something where you have these sort of space battles in a series in the sense, and keep it fresh and keep it original and not keep it mundane and boring and all of that. It's complicated.
Well, you couldn't do it. Like, I suppose you could do it with every episode, but you don't need to. The rebel pilots aren't just pilots, they're soldiers. So you can have your little ground battles and your raids and all of that. Like, one of the things that I was disappointed with Rogue One was something that we got shown as concept art, which was like a ground raid, kind of like the last mission that they all get slaughtered on, but it happened in the middle of the film. It was a ground raid that they were going to do to storm a base to steal a bunch of stuff, and we never got that. But you can have those kind of elements in your pilot show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Fair enough. So I think it's time we mark this particular episode. I'm going to give it a fat juicy 8. I thought it was a decent send off to a series which does keep us looking forward to more. And they are making, I think they just started filming Andor. I think they started filming it a few days ago. 21st of November was the beginning of filming, I believe. So if we do see season 2, it'll probably come out sometime in 2024 by the looks of things.
Yes, it's 2024.
Cheetah, what are you gonna give it?
I'm gonna give it a 7. As I said, and are we gonna rank the series here today, or are we gonna go back around,
Yeah,
or we just
yeah,
okay?
we will.
Okay.
Go-
I'll give it a 7. As I said, I didn't like the payoff to some of the characters. Um, it was a bit. I don't want to sound like I'm like, oh my god, I wanted like a super Star Destroyer to show up and like rain fire on Ferrex. You know, like I didn't want that, but I did feel
You
like some of
got
the
it, by the
character,
way.
huh?
You did get it, by the way, in the mid-credit scene, which
No,
we
a
forgot to.
super Star
No, that's
Destroyer is
Star Destroyer.
the
Not
Executor, the super
yeah.
Oh
Star
yeah,
Destroyer.
Didn't we see a
Not that
Superstar Destroyer as well? I'm not sure. I was wondering.
I
We
don't.
saw
Anyway,
Star Destroyers.
I don't even think
okay.
the Executor was built at that point. I think it was built between
No, it
episode
wasn't.
4 and 5. Anyway,
Yeah.
so so I mean, but you know, and yeah, you got your Death Star shot, which everybody was right. I was kind of hoping we weren't right, but everybody's right saying it was a piece for the Death Star, like which it was. And I kind of figured it was. I just hoping it wasn't because it just seemed a bit
It was for the deflected dish or some shit like that, wasn't it?
yeah.
And
Yeah,
because like the
for
Death
the
Star's the
particle
size,
beams.
that whole section of the Death Star like the size of a country. So that's why they needed to make so many of those
Well, and a
brackets.
lot of people don't realize like that's why they have all those they probably have hundreds of those prison camps around the galaxy because think about it, that Death Star is huge. And keep in mind, the second Death Star was like 3 or 4 times bigger than the first
Yeah.
one. Like the first one was actually smaller, and then they had a second one already under construction. I think did Ginger, do you remember do they say they were being built parallel and they just built the first one as like a test run, or did they just start the
No,
second one right
they
after the
built the
first one
second
was
one
blown
up
up?
right after the first one got destroyed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's
It
what,
was
like a
easy.
5 or
Yeah.
6 year gap between A New Hope and Return of the Jedi, right? Like, isn't it
3
like 5 or
years.
6 years? Is it only 3?
3,
Okay.
yeah.
That's a little unbelievable. Like them building like all that in that amount of time, unless the Death Star was already under construction, like parallel. You know, both of them were parallel. Anyway, long story long. So there were just some kind of, and as I said, Cyril was a waste. There were some really, really good moments in this though. So I think some of that is going to factor into my season finale, my season review.
We'll get to that
I
in
know
a
I'm
second.
not saying it yet. I know.
Yeah.
Okay. But I really feel like that this is yeah, I just this last part this last episode was kind of a little bit of a letdown for me. Didn't hate it. I didn't absolutely get floored by it. So I'll give it a 7.
Ginger. episode.
Yeah, 7 for me as well. This is my lowest rated episode. But mainly again because some of the payoff it should have been a bit more with some of the characters. I'm not going to repeat myself. I already said at the beginning of the stream, but I'll just say 7.
Yeah, I can understand where you guys are coming from. Sometimes, like the final episode, it's a very hard thing to pull off. A decent finale. So I can say, considering everything else was fantastic, it had a lot to live up to.
Well, but here's the other thing is that we could clearly see though a good finale here. Like there was definitely a good finale here. I just felt like they shit the bed on some of these characters. And some of it was shit the bed before this episode. So I can't blame this episode for that per se. So that's why I'm not giving it like a lower rating. But yeah, it definitely has some knocks against it based on the character arcs.
Okay, so time to rate the series. I'm gonna give the series a 10, simply because it exceeded expectations. Nearly every episode we've watched have been 8s and 9s, and that alone makes it a 10 because it's superb episode, superb storytelling, Star Wars like we've never seen before as well. Not a Jedi in sight either, not like it's relying upon them. There's lots of character development, great pacing in my opinion. Yeah, I can understand you might have pacing issues, but most of the time I think it was pretty good. Good story arcs as well with different scenarios, like the heist, like the prison scene as well. Interesting characters, some of them, unfortunate in certain circumstances. There was just so many great things. It all came full circle with him coming back to Ferrix as well. Great stuff. It's a 10 for me. Cheetah?
I'm gonna give it. Oh, Sam, time to take your blood pressure meds.
Time to charge my car. I'm glad.
time to take your Miralax. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna give it a 9. I feel like the missed opportunities with, or not missed opportunities, the fizzle out kind of some of these character arcs in this season. I don't mind them being left on cliffhangers, but like Ginger said, a perfect example is Mon Mothma. Like, instead of doing the whole daughter thing, I really feel like they should have left the cliffhanger on the Empire's checking into her shit and they're coming for her. They're checking into it. That should have been the cliffhanger, not I'm going to marry my daughter off to this person, because we know that where Mon Mothma is heading. Like, if we had no idea where Mon Mothma was heading, like as a character, like we didn't know if she was going to the rebellion, we didn't know if she was going to make it out, it'd be one thing. But it's like, it almost seems like they're taking the long way to get to, the destination we've been to 5,000 times. So
Slag. Sorry, Cheetah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I'll give this like a 9 out of 10. But my main reason for taking a point off again is too many fucking humans in the whole show. That's always going to be my criticism, and that will always get points deducted. Other than that, overall, it is the best Star Wars thing we've had. It's just blown me away, having maturity, logical storytelling, great dialogue, no pathetic, annoying fan service that we've seen a million times and it's lost all of its value. Just great, refreshing to see, not just in Star Wars, just in TV in general. It's like, because Netflix is kind of really dropped in quality, and a lot of shows now, they're just everything's dumbing down and it's pandering to Twitter rather than I want to say pandering to Twitter. What I mean is just in its simplicity, in just giving off these little fucking brownie points that they could score here and there, and at the detriment to telling a good story. So this, not pandering to anyone, not even pandering to us, and just saying, I'm Gilroy, this is a story I want to tell, you're coming along for the ride. And we fucking loved it. And I love that. I love when creative person takes control of a story, but does it in a way that just makes sense and doesn't go for cheap thrills and cheap laughs or cheap anything. And it was great. Some of the payoffs didn't work out at the end, but I'm not going to take away from the experience we got overall. I love this show, and I really hope that there are rumors of Kennedy maybe on her way out now with Iger back. If they do, they really need to give the executive producer role to the Gilroys, not to Filoni and Favreau. I'm sorry, I know people like them, but I don't. I think they are. I still think they're childish fan service stuff as well, and I don't want that in every fucking thing that they produce. I'd rather get the Gilroys, who, much like the Russos, just took their stuff very serious and had a lot of fun with it as well. It's not like we didn't have fun with the Russo stuff. So I really hope that's the way we go with Chapek out. And I want to talk a bit about Chapek.
I'm sorry. This is a good time to ask about Daniel Vance's question here.
Yeah,
How do you think the planned restructuring of Disney under its new old CEO Bob Iger will change things moving forward for Marvel and Star Wars?
That is absolutely perfect timing, because I was just about to say, Chapek. It makes so much sense how quickly the downfall in quality happened under Chapek, because the idiot did the same thing that so many other studios do, and he was looking at algorithms and trends rather than going for creativity, which explains She-Hulk so much and why it became what I call the Twitter show. So now with Chapek going out, who was vastly unpopular and a complete moron, who took away a lot of creative freedom, again, evident in a lot of the stuff produced, and just wanted to pander to algorithms and data and all this kind of stuff. And with Iger coming back as a bit more old school, and he was kind of like the flint that sparks a lot of creativity with Disney properties. I'm hoping we just go back to. I'm not expecting miracles, but let's just go back to what made MCU great. And I would say what made Star Wars great, but most of Star Wars is mostly shit. But using Andor as a linchpin moving forward to kind of say, hey, we don't have to be fucking childish crap. We could just do more mature content, have a bit more creative freedom for the people that we fucking sign on to the projects, rather than Kennedy taking over everything, and then shit in the bed, and then firing everyone, and people arguing all the kind of time, all the time. So I'm hoping, and I'm hoping Iger does come back with a bit more of that essence to say, okay, more creative freedom is actually better for the platforms. And that's all I have to say about that.
I actually do want to add on. I do remember what I was going to say earlier to your point, Ginger, about I don't remember what you were talking about, but I did have this point where I was saying like I think this show might have been more of a Deep Space Nine Voyager issue, where it's like Deep Space Nine got good once like CBS, like kind of Paramount and CBS and all that shifted their focus to Voyager. Like, oh, this is going to be our main show now because they're exploring space. And then that gave, the writers of DS9 the opportunity to kind of get away with more because they didn't have to they didn't have to answer to them so much. They're like, yeah, you guys go do your little show over here about a space station, and we know it's going to fail, which it didn't. It's the best Star Trek.
It's the best Star Trek ever made.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. So maybe that's what happened here. Is they're like, well, Andor's not a Skywalker. He's not, there's no Jedis. So you guys go ahead over here and do this. And we're going to focus on High Republic, And so while that's going on, they got to do whatever they wanted. And that's why we actually got a fucking creative success here because they were
that's
off
a good point.
looking at. So, and I think Iger, he has some faults, I would say, but I do believe you're right about him he's a little bit more open to creative response. Like some of the stuff that they did in the MCU was pretty, I know it seems old hat now, but back then when Iger was in there and everything, it was kind of trend setting, it was kind of new. And they let a lot of except for like Thor Ragnarok, I felt like a lot of those creative projects actually benefited the MCU, like the Winter Soldier. That was not your typical superhero flick. And that, so I mean, it's and Iger let that happen. And there wasn't, I mean, except for the end, which I have a little bit of issue with, but most of that movie was a political thriller. And honestly, I don't think if they were following the Disney algorithm, the Winter Soldier would have happened. I honestly feel like that was kind of like Iger's like, you know what? Roll with this. I want to see how it goes. And, he lets them have that. And it was a success. And that spawned more success. And then we got the Russos doing Infinity War and Endgame, the best Avengers movies we could have possibly dreamed of, even better than the first Avengers and even better than Age of Ultron, which I know a lot of people don't like Age of Ultron. I liked Age of Ultron, not as much as Infinity War Endgame, but I liked Age of Ultron. Anyway.
Yeah, sometimes when it comes to what the fans want, they don't necessarily give us what we want. They just assume this is what we want. And there is a balance that has to be had. For a start, nobody asked for the fucking High Republic, but they're giving it to us anyway because we want the Old Republic, and this is their compromise. And when they gave us Boba Fett, they didn't give us Boba Fett the bounty hunter. They gave us Boba Fett the gangster.
Mayor.
The mayor.
The mayor of Mos Eisley.
Even with the Mandalorian, initially he was a Boba Fett clone. We wanted to see these guys bounty hunt, for fuck's sake. Do what you've been known to be doing, but we never see you do. I want to see you fucking finally do it. But we never see these motherfuckers do any of that shit. They want to give these motherfuckers arcs and stuff like that. Sometimes characters don't need arcs. That's why one of my favorite films is the Judge Dredd with Carl Urban, because there was no arc for his character. He just did that. He did that. I remember at the very end, he said drug bust to his authority figures because that's what it was. It was just another fucking day on the job doing a drug bust. And the only thing maybe he kind of got an arc on was maybe, promoting his psychic officer to a degree. But other than that, not everyone needs a fucking arc. Sometimes you just know them for what they are, and they just we want to see them do their shit, and they don't fucking give us that, and that was my problem. They just never understand these writers and stuff like that. They complicate things so fucking much, Anyway, that's just my
I have to jump in. I fucking couldn't agree more. Not everything needs a character arc. You know the character. You just want to see what they do. John Wick started off with, the wife, the dog thing, but then it's just like, now it's just fucking guns and cool action, and we don't need any redemptions or any of this shit. We know what John Wick is about. We just want to see the action. Boba Fett, we just wanted to see him get back to doing what he did. We didn't need this fucking animal-loving prick who takes orders from literally everyone else and does nothing. But again, this show was the victim of trying to follow the Twitter trends, trying to see what idiots that don't even fucking like Star Wars would like, so they can rope new people in. But it's like, well, no, that's stupid. And in the end, what you got was diarrhea and fucking mod gangs. Like, the fuck.
At the end, what we got was people not watching Andor, which is because of the of the shitty Star Wars we got prior to Andor. So,
yeah, Boba Fett and Kenobi was so bad that nobody watched Andor. But the buzz that it's created now, we'll probably get eyes on it later, and series 2 will probably.
I want to say this is going to be like a Firefly if Firefly had season 2, like had a season 2.
Yeah,
like if Fox would have went through with it and actually gave Firefly a season 2, I feel like it would have been Gangbuster season 2. Because the cult following started not long after the first series ended, and then word of mouth kind of got around to everybody. And so I mean, I think Andor is going to be like the Firefly situation, but positive, not not negative.
Okay, now before we wrap this up, let's just read some of the comments here. Bossman gives the series a 9 out of 10. The fact the week, okay.
Week?
I don't know. Episodes aren't that weak. Nearly 10 for me. I thought it was a good series ending. So, likewise. I disagree. It shows the Empire causes the pain. I think Empire causes with its plans. And Daniel Vaughn says it's sad deleting the Andor heading on my NerdTube note list. It was fun to watch and theorize with everyone here. Well, the theorizing doesn't end, Daniel Vance, because next week we are getting Ginger Greek's favorite character of all fucking time. It's Willow, baby. Willow is got a new series starting next week. I can't fucking wait. I'm actually gonna do what you're gonna do, Cheeto, and I'm gonna watch Willow, the original movie, at some point this week before next Wednesday. So just to get me familiar again.
Yeah,
with the series.
I watched it for the first time last night. Like last night, I sat down and I'm like, all right, I got to watch this show in preparation for Willow. I've always been interested in it. It's just never got around to it. And I said, I'm going to do it. And I sat down. I really enjoyed it. I mean,
Willow.
I'll say it's 80s, a product of the 80s. I'll say it's a product of the 80s, but it's like, it was just so charming and so different, and it took its own risks, and it was rewarded for it. I even didn't mind the terrible like CGI green screening, not CGI, the green screening of and I know that's what I'm saying.
Stop motion animation, a lot of it,
Yeah.
So,
but like the little people and like the little tiny people and stuff. What were they called? Brownies.
Yeah. With the French accents. Hey, what you doing?
Hey, what you doing? I laughed so many times when they were on screen, and I joked around in our group chat, and I said, all this needs now is that good old LucasArts remaster. George Lucas comes back and gives us a new remaster of it.
Well, they developed the technology actually at the scene where the good witch who was a chicken. And they kept transforming her. Like some of the transformation, like that was the first time that sort of special effect was used, where she transformed into all these different animals.
I think it's called
morphing, and all of that. So that was the first time for that. So it did break barriers and stuff. But it's good to see. It'll be good to see Warwick Davis.
I love
Prior to role.
I just love Warwick Davis as well. Like he's just a great actor to just kind of watch in anything. So and seeing him come back to something, I just like Willow's. It doesn't get talked about enough. It was huge over here in the UK. I don't know about the US, but when it came out over here, it was massive. I remember all the marketing campaigns for it, the cereals, all the toy products, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to a nice little trip down memory lane, even if it's refreshed for newer audience. And I hope that works in its favor and gets new eyes on the product, and they go back and they watch the old Willow film. And
no, you know what this is going to be? They're going to do 15 now. They're going to do it's going to be like Lord of the Rings now. They're going to take this one book, The Hobbit, and they're going to spin it off into 5,000 different other books. So now Willow is going to be this one movie, and all of a sudden we're going to get like 5,000, like the little French people are going to get their own spin-off series. It's going to be called, The Brownies Beneath Us or something like that.
Oh, look. One thing with George Lucas is George Lucas. He was Seth MacFarlane before Seth MacFarlane was Seth MacFarlane. He copied Doom with Star Wars.
Way too many Seth MacFarlanes in one sentence.
He copied King Solomon's Mines with Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he copied the Lord of the Rings with Willow. So I can imagine regarding spin-offs and stuff like that. I'm not sure if there's any Willow books or anything along those lines that this
I
could be
actually
spun
don't know.
off from. But we'll see how it pans out, and let's just hope, regardless of all hype in the series, let's just hope it's fucking good.
Please be good.
Just be good. Just be good, please. Just don't do a disservice to a classic.
Just play with the balls a little bit. That's all you got to do. Right?
That's it. Exactly.
That's it. Yeah.
So I do
tickle the balls and work the shaft. Yeah.
To everyone watching this right now, to watch the movie Willow and then watch the series on next Wednesday, and then join us here on the Tube as we review it and dissect.
Speaking of Wednesdays, watch Wednesday on Netflix as well. I'm about to watch that tomorrow.
I totally forgot about that. That one slipped my mind. Yeah, as well. And of course, there's the Star Wars Holiday Special, which we'll need to squeeze in. Not Star Wars, the Galaxy.
The Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. When is that coming out? Is that this weekend?
I think it came
that would
out
be
yesterday.
with Drax, the facelift and plump lips now. Fuck, it looks so stupid.
Yeah.
With that plastic surgery. I think it comes out this week. Next week. The holiday special. Because the reviews are coming out.
Batista's gone all Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, it's gone all Mickey Rourke.
Oh, no.
He has? I didn't notice.
But look. Okay, watch him in the first Guardians and watch him now. His face is all like being peeled back, and he's got lip implants and all this kind of stuff. It looks like
come on, Batista.
His face does look bloated.
Yeah, his face looks so stupid.
The thing with unfortunately with Batista that he's a decent actor, but he's just got into this game so fucking late in his life now that he feels like he needs to reverse age himself immediately so you can get some more gigs. Because honestly, I'm really surprised how big his acting career has become. After wrestling, I just really thought The Rock would be the main guy, but Batista has killed it in Hollywood.
I mean, The Rock, Dwayne's still the main guy because he's the biggest Hollywood draw, but moneymaker. But yeah, Batista, nobody would have looked at him and thought, yeah, fucking hell. Because he's come a long way.
Stuff, yeah. He's been in so much fucking stuff. It's frightening, how much of a decent career he's had, and he's big in critically acclaimed stuff. I'm looking forward to Glass Onion. That'll be out on Netflix soon. I know you don't like Rian Johnson, but I thought Knives Out was a pretty decent whodunit. And
that's fine for people that want to watch it.
I'm a big fan of
reviews.
I love whodunits, dude. I love them. You know what I mean?
Oh, me too, but I just don't like Rian Johnson. Fuck that guy.
I just don't like whodunner.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so Jim is saying happy Thanksgiving. Happy mass genocide to Native Americans to you as well, my son.
Genocide day.
Yeah, so and to everyone out there, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to Nerdtube, the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. We'll see you guys tomorrow for some Star Trek Prodigy. Take care now. Bye-bye.